What the mainstream media was afraid to tell you about the news this week. This week, while the mainstream media was obsessing about face masks, here are the things that happened that really matter. The group that handles the intake of donations for Black Lives Matter has a convicted terrorist on their board of directors. According to a report from the Capital Research Center, convicted terrorist Susan Rosenberg was listed as a member for the Thousand Currents group, which handles donations to the Black Lives Matter group. Rosenberg was a member of the May 19th Communist Organization. She was convicted on weapons and explosive charges, originally sentenced to serve 58 years in prison, but after 16 years in prison, Rosenberg was pardoned by President Bill Clinton as he left office. Rosenberg was also suspected of helping cop killer Assata Shakur escape from prison. Remember, Black Lives Matter co-founder Alicia Garza has called Assata Shakur one of her inspirations. And now, this convicted terrorist, Susan Rosenberg, serves on the board of the company that handles donations to BLM. But did the mainstream media report this? No, they didn't. In the past 28-day period in New York City, according to NYPD crime statistics, there have been 250 shooting victims. Compare that to this same 28-day period last year in 2019, when New York City saw 97 shooting victims. That's a 157% increase for anybody wondering. Why did this number skyrocket? Ask the Defund the Police Democrats, who voted to slash $1.5 billion from the NYPD budget, which will result in 1,200 NYPD officers being cut from the force. But did the mainstream media report on how dangerous it is for people, when police don't enforce the law? No, they didn't. An email about COVID-19 from a Texas ER executive obtained by journalist Alex Berenson says they have plenty of room in the hospitals there for COVID-19 patients. The demographics, he says, of the new cases of COVID are young people. The cases themselves are mild. The ICUs, he says, are full of really sick people with other illnesses who waited too long to go to the hospital out of fear of COVID. And he said hospitals that can't make ends meet without elective surgeries are billing patients who test positive for COVID as COVID primary diagnosis because it pays more and they're financially strapped thanks to the lockdowns. But did the mainstream media report on the truth from the front lines in Texas? Nope. The mainstream media echoed paranoid 95% ICU capacity numbers instead, which it turns out is normal capacity. The St. Louis gun couple, Mark and Patricia McCloskey, did not draw firearms at peaceful protesters, despite reports from the mainstream media calling the thugs peaceful. In fact, the protesters threatened the McCloskeys, threatened to burn down their home and kill their dog. This after breaking through the gate that surrounded the McCloskeys' house. Furthermore, the Castle Doctrine in Missouri allows for use of deadly force if people are threatening you on your property. It's a generous interpretation that does not require people to actually enter your home. But did the mainstream media report on that? No, they didn't. Nor did the mainstream media mention that the McCloskeys are liberal Democrats who say they support Black Lives Matter. There is no right to abortion in the Constitution. After the Supreme Court ruled against a Louisiana law that required abortion clinics to have admitting privileges at a local hospital, just like every other surgical facility in the state, the left claimed the law was an assault on the constitutional right to abortion. But the truth is, there is no constitutional right to abortion. In fact, even Edward Lazarus, who served as a law clerk for Supreme Court Justice Harry Blackmun, who authored the majority opinion on Roe v. Wade, said, and I quote, "As a matter of constitutional interpretation and judicial method, Roe borders on indefensible. Justice Blackmun's opinion provides essentially no reasoning in support of its holding, and in the years since Roe's announcement, no one has produced a convincing defense of Roe on its own terms." By the way, Lazarus says he is personally pro-abortion. Read the Constitution for yourself. There is no right to abortion in the 14th Amendment, which reads, "Nor shall the states deprive any person of the right to life, liberty, or property without due process of law." But did the mainstream media report the truth? No, they didn't. The mainstream media doesn't care to report any of that to you, so we will.